What is up, world? Elijah Terrell back at you guys live, but super excited for the topic of interest today. To be able to share something with you guys that has, completely shifted my perspective and changed my life. So what I have in front of you is actually the cash flow quadrant. And I know it's a little hard to see, but I'm going to go into detail exactly what it entails. So again, the cash flow quadrant. So the four ways we make money in the world today. That's what we're going to be discussing. The 4 ways to make money in the world today. So, cash flow quadrant is developed of 4 quadrants. And now I'm going to break it down for you guys to a left side and a right side. And so, on the left side, what you have is employees and self-employed. And on the right side, we have business owners and investors. So let's dive into the left side first. So many of you watching this, I'm sure, have been at some point in your life or are right now currently an employee or self-employed. And the reason I say that is because of the population today, the left side is consumed of 95% of that population today. I'm going to say it again. The left side consists of 95% of the population today, which is employee and self-employed. And so what an employee and somebody who's self-employed do is they're continuously trading their time for money. So if they don't put in time to go work, they cannot make money. So again, on the left side, you have employees and self-employed who are always trading their time for money. And so to dive into an employee, your typical 9 to 5, or it might be a 10-hour shift, it might be a 12-hour shift, but whatever the case may be, they're still trading their time for money. And so ultimately, if you're an employee, you are now working for somebody else's dream. You're exchanging your time to make money in order to work for somebody else's dream. And so there's nothing wrong with being an employee, but I'm going to break down exactly why you need to get on the right side of this quadrant, why you need to become a business owner or an investor in this life in order to truly be successful. It is imperative to get to this right side. And so now we have the self-employed, which I would like to break down. So your self-employed people, again, are trading their time for money. Now, you have your independent contractors. So I'm not saying you can't make good money by being somebody who's self-employed, but you're still ultimately, you have to trade your time, energy, in order to make money. So again, even independent contractors, yeah, they might make good money, but because they always have to put in the time to get that money, they don't have the time to spend their money. They don't have time to travel the world. They still do not possess the freedom that the right side does, the business owners and investors. And so again, to divert back to this left side, which is consumed of 95% of the population, but of that 95%, they're only controlling 5% of the wealth today. 95% of the population is only controlling 5% of the wealth. And so now we're going to talk about the right side, which is your business owners and your investors. Your business owners and your investors. Now, why it's so imperative to get to this right side. Now think about it. On this right side, only 5% of the population is on this right side. Only 5%. Meaning, if you're on this right side, you're a part of the 5% of the population. Think about that for a moment. You're ultimately doing something that 95% of the world is not doing. You're different. So you're going to stand out. You're going to fit out. But take that as a blessing, because of that 5% of the population, they're controlling 95% of the wealth today. And so whenever I heard this statistic, when I got in front of this information, not only did I become a lot more financially literate, meaning I understood the world of finances better, but I knew it was imperative to find a vehicle to get on this right side. And so a business owner is paying for the time of others to work on his dream. He's paying others to work for him so he doesn't have to use his own time to still work and create his dream life. And then you have your investors. Now your investors are what I like to call your money compounders. They have learned and understood how the financial world works, and they've learned where to put their money, where to invest their money in order for their money to work for them, in order for their money to be making more money on top of it, no matter where they're at in the world, no matter what they're doing. They're not slaving away and exchanging their time for money. They are now exchanging money for more money. They are now investing money in order to compound it into more money. And so this is why it's so imperative to get on this side, because this right side is what is going to create time and financial freedom for you, your family, your friends, whoever the case may be. And so that's why I found, whenever I got behind this information, when I became more and more financially literate, that it was so imperative to get on this right side. And so, I want to break it down a little bit deeper for you guys. But again, to touch on. So your left side, your employees, you're self-employed. 95% of the population generating 5% of the wealth. Your right side, you have business owners and investors. 5% of the population generating 95% of the wealth. And so, like I said, this information was so powerful, I just felt the need to share it. And again, this is the cash flow quadrant, which I actually have it written up here. I know you can't see it, but Robert Kiyosaki is the actual creator of what I have in front of you, of the cash flow quadrant. And so the first time I heard about it, I actually read one of his books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is actually, he's a New York Times bestseller for that book, and it's still today the #1 best-selling finance book in America today. The #1. And so when I read this book about 8 months ago, it really opened my eyes to a new world on the financial side. It really opened me to new understandings of how money works and how I need to operate with my money and where I need to put my money so I can create that time of financial freedom. And so this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, this book I highly recommend for anybody who wants to make money in this lifetime, anybody who wants to be truly successful in this lifetime, to read this book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And so I also want to give you a couple more book suggestions that I have right in front of me. And of course, if you haven't heard, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, another great read, talks about finances, talks about that burning desire, helps you understand, the real world and how you need to operate in order to attract riches, in order to attract wealth. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, another great read. The Richest Man in Babylon, which is going to dive into exactly how you need to use your money. Save 10%, invest 10%, tithe 10%, expenses 50%. But it helps you understand how the real world operates and how money operates in the real world. The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Another great book, it just talks about having the preparedness for when the money comes so you can keep it and attract more riches. Because if you're not prepared, when the money does come, you find a way to lose it. You find a way to spend it. So another phenomenal read I highly recommend, has changed my life. And then I have two more. I have Charles Schwab's Guide to Financial Independence. Again, he talks about operating in the real world of finances whenever you leave home, whenever you start to make money, how to use it, and how to become financially independent. But again, it goes back to this cash flow quadrant, the 4 ways to make money. You can't be financially and time free if you're on this left side, because you're always exchanging your time for money. And so I found that the most expensive commodity in this life is time. Because you cannot get time back. It is the one thing you cannot get back. You can always get more money. I'm here to tell you can always attract, and create more wealth for yourself. But you can never get more time back. So you need to start figuring out how you are going to create a life of time and financial freedom for yourself. You need to start operating differently. You need to start preparing yourself for when the vehicle comes that can take you to this right side. Now, there's nothing wrong with being an employee or self-employed, but to achieve true happiness, true success, you have to figure out how you can also be, if not only, also be a business owner or an investor, because that's going to create a life of freedom for you. It's not about the riches, it's about the freedom. So if I can do what I want, when I want, where I want, I'm going to achieve happiness. I'm going to achieve happiness. Everything else will fall in place. But again, it's about finding that vehicle to become a business owner or an investor. And so that is imperative to your success, to your freedom. And so the last book I wanted to recommend for you guys is The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. Big finance guru. You know, went bankrupt a few times, came back out of the hole time and time again, but very wise man, you know, on the world of finances, on exactly how to use your money, on even the safe and easy way to create time and financial freedom for yourself long term. So it's another book I highly recommend. The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. Charles Schwab's Guide to Financial Freedom. And then Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Phenomenal book. And then, of course, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's another one I highly recommend. But, you know, I wanted to come on here and really share with you guys some information that has changed my life, that has shifted my perspective, and that has created a lot more wisdom and understanding in the world of finances. And has helped me to become more financially literate in doing so. So, wanted to get this information in front of the world to make it a more valuable place, and that's what it's about. You know, every time you learn something new, tell somebody else, and then have them tell somebody else, and show somebody else. Because in order to make the world a more valuable place, we have to become more valuable individuals, and then spread it. Reciprocity. Always give more than you receive. Reciprocity. So anything you receive, learn to give it back into the world to make the world a more valuable place. I love you guys. I'm super grateful for each and every one of you. And I just want to finish it with this. In order to find a vehicle, to find the solution, to find an opportunity, you have to become the person who is prepared to attract it. You have to become the person who's ready when it presents itself. And so, for more information on how I got into the world of investing, how I got, you know, in the world of owning my own business, learning how to run my own business, I'm going to drop a link below. I'm going to drop my cell phone number below, my email, my Instagram. Feel free to hit me up morning, noon, or night, and I will get back to all the messages as soon as possible and help you, introduce you to a vehicle, a solution, an opportunity that has changed my life and hopefully can change many of your all's lives. So I love you guys. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Spread some love today and have a blessed day. We out.